Hey everybody, Adam here with Hometown Acres. Welcome back. Well, there you have it. As you can see behind me, that is the new truck that we just picked up. If you don't know what I'm talking about, in the last video I had talked about how my F-150 just wasn't cutting it for me anymore for future plans for what I'm planning to tow and haul. We've got some big plans coming up here in the future, so you'll have to stick around for that. But yes, that is the new truck. It is a 2022 Ford F-250 with the 6.7 Power Stroke diesel engine in it. And if you guys saw, we did a video with Jake from Dude Ranch DIY a month or two ago, and in that video I had said that I was shopping for, you know, a 7.3 gas engine because I didn't want the headaches with the diesel. And the reason I went with the 6.7 Power Stroke was because at the time, the vehicles that were available for sale, there was a couple of gas engine 7.3s that I was going to look at, and they were only about $3,000 or $4,000 less than this truck here. Now, if you're shopping for new F-250s or 350s, typically that diesel engine upcharge is anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000. So I originally didn't want the diesel for the added headaches with the emissions that they have to put on these things with the diesel particulate filters and the regens and all that. But I do know that the diesel is going to have way more torque for towing. It's going to hold its value better because typically when people are looking for Super Duty trucks, the majority of people want to buy a diesel truck. So it's going to have better resale value just by the simple fact that if and when I plan on selling this or trading it in, there's going to be a much larger pool of people who would be interested in this. Whereas if I had gotten the gas and I'm ready to sell it, a lot of people are just going to click off of it right as soon as they see that it's a gas engine. So, and that being said, again, this thing is just going to tow so much better than the gas engine would. And with what we have planned in the future, I'm pretty happy that I went with the diesel and that it only cost me another $3,000 or $4,000 to get it as opposed to $10,000. If it was going to be a $10,000 upgrade, even on the used vehicle price, I probably would have gotten the gas, but here we are, and I'm happy I have the diesel. Today's video is sponsored by Mando. Now, I'm a dude. I work hard, I sweat, and I stink. Mando is a high-performance, whole-body deodorant that you can apply everywhere, including pits, packages, and feet. Mando is clinically proven to control odor better than shower and soap alone. 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle odor level is a 5 out of 10. If you don't know what a grundle is, let me enlighten you. It's the area between your and your. With Mando, though, the average grundle odor level is a 0 out of 10. Mando has 4 different scents that are all unique: bourbon leather, clover woods, Mount Fuji, and Pro Sport, and they even have unscented. Unlike certain traditional deodorants that try to mask odor with a fragrance, Mando is formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts, more like a pre-odorant. Mando reduces odor all day and continues controlling BO for 72 hours. And Mando does not stain your clothing like my old deodorant did. Check out those armpits. That's disgusting.
Mando was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. The stick deodorant is a smooth, solid stick that will roll on and not show on the skin.
Mando's starter pack bundle is a great deal for new customers. It comes with a full-size stick deodorant, a cream deodorant tube, or a spray deodorant, and 2 free products like the wipes or mini body wash. And just for my audience, Mando is offering an extra $5 off when you place an order using the link in the description below and use code ACRES at checkout. That's a deal of over 40% off. Now, like I said, this is a 2022. I'm not a big fan of buying new vehicles. You just take so much depreciation hit right as soon as you drive it off the lot. I like to let somebody else do that. This vehicle only has 24,000 miles on it, and it's very clean as well. It's basically brand new, and this truck brand new was probably, I don't know, $75,000, $80,000. It is a step up from my F-150. My old truck was an XLT package. This is a Lariat with the Lariat Ultimate package in it. So this is the nicest truck I have ever owned. And I plan on keeping it probably for 10, 15, 20 years. We'll have to see what the maintenance is like on this thing over the next 10 or 15 years. But as long as I don't outgrow the towing capacity of this truck, it should be fine. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about my decision-making process when it came to purchasing this truck. And let's start off with Ford, GM, Chevy. When I first started buying trucks a few years ago, let's see, I bought my F-150 in 2019. Prior to that, I had a Toyota Tacoma. And so when I was upgrading from my Tacoma to a half ton, I didn't know whether I was going to be a Ford, GMC, Chevy, Dodge guy, right? And I actually asked you guys, I said, which one should I go with? And you know, I really just took a chance on Ford. I found a truck that I liked the looks of. It had a nice interior cab space. I knew we were going to be having kids, so I wanted to get something with a nice back seat to have car seats in. And so I went with Ford, and I was very happy with my decision to go with Ford. I bought that truck with 71,000 miles on it, so it was a higher mileage truck when I bought it. I drove it all the way to 111,000 miles, so I put 40,000 miles on it, and really didn't have any issues with that truck. And the biggest reason why I stuck with Ford, there's really only one reason. If it wasn't for this one thing, I would have considered switching to maybe a Chevy or a GMC. Not really a big Dodge fan regardless, but I did look at some Silverados and some Sierras. The one reason I like Ford and I stuck with Ford is the aluminum body. And let me give you a little story. I've got a buddy and he has a 2016 Silverado. And at the time, I also had a 2016 F-150. He has already had to do body work on his rocker panels and his rear wheel wells because of rust. With the aluminum body, you don't have to worry about any of that. Now, that's not to say that the truck can't still rot out. The frame can still rust, but we had the same exact year truck. They were both half tons, very similar, and he had to put a lot of money into body work, and I didn't have to worry about that. And again, I plan on keeping this truck for a very long time, and I didn't want to have to worry about wheel wells or rocker panels rusting out on me. Now that we know we're going with a Ford, I've been all over the place on, did I want the 250? Did I want the 350? Did I want the gas? Did I want the diesel? What year? When we're talking about years with the F-250s, I personally like the older body style than the newer ones. I kind of think the 23 and newer body style that they did is ugly. There's some different trim levels and things that I think actually look okay. Like there's a tremor package on the F-250 and 350 that I think looks nice. There's a couple of chrome packages, but usually you've got to get like the Platinum or the King Ranch or a Lariat or something like that to get the appearance package that looks nice. All the rest of them, they've got that big bubble headlight on the front that I just think is ugly. So I knew that it needed to be 22 and older, and in this specific year, 2022, they updated the interior so that it had the new screen and all the new features and gadgets and things, which, you know, really for a work truck is not important. But if I plan on having this truck for 10 or 15 years, I figure why not go 1 year newer than a 21? So this 22 is the only model year that you can get with the updated interior that I wanted and the older body style. So that's why I got the 2022. So now we've talked about why we went with the diesel over the gas. We've talked about why we picked Ford over the other brands, and we talked about why we went with this specific year of 2022. Really the last thing on the decision-making tree, if you're looking at a heavy-duty truck, is do you want to go with a 3/4 ton or a 1 ton? And I was back and forth on this probably about 100 times over the last couple months. And I really had my heart set on the F350 because you get that increased towing capacity, you get that increased payload capacity. Just for reference, the towing difference on an F350, you're looking at probably about 18 or 20,000 pounds versus 15,000 pounds. The payload capacity in the bed of an F350, you're looking at about 3,900 pounds, whereas this one is only about 2,500 pounds, which I think for this truck is actually a little bit light because of the trim level and the different options and equipment that are added to it. The more options and things you add to the truck, the heavier the truck becomes, and that reduces your payload capacity because your payload is the total amount of weight that can sit on the frame. And so really what made my decision, I almost walked away from this truck because it was a 3/4 ton instead of a 1 ton. But the reason I decided to go with this one was because I don't have a CDL. And without a CDL, you're really not going to be able to realize the benefits of a 1 ton pickup truck. If you're not familiar, the requirements for a CDL are you have to be a gross combined vehicle weight under 26,000 pounds. And when they say gross combined vehicle weight, that's based on the sticker of the truck itself. So if the GVWR of this truck is 10,400 pounds, the F350's GVWR is anywhere from like 11,500 to 12,000 pounds. So now if you start looking at that CDL limit of 26,000 pounds and you back out 10,400, you have roughly 15,600 pounds that you can tow behind this truck without a CDL. If you get the 3/4 ton truck and you're at 12,000 pounds, now you can only tow 14,000 pounds to stay below those CDL requirements. So I personally can tow more legally with this truck than I could with an F350. And so because I don't have a CDL, that's why it makes sense for me to get the 3/4 ton truck. But anyway, I think that's enough yammering on about why I bought this truck. Let's get inside and let me show it to you real quick. So here's a quick walk around the front. I'm gonna try not to slip and fall here. You can see we got a sheet of ice out here in front of the building. With the Lariat Ultimate package, you've got these LED headlights, and I know they're flickering on the camera, but that's just something to do with the frame rate. They're not actually doing that in real life. One thing I do want to swap out on this truck, I'm not crazy about, I'll probably leave them for a little while, is this does have the Michelin highway tires on it, and I'd like to get a more all-terrain tire, because a lot of what we do here is, you know, over there off-road, in the field, in and around the ponds, and I have a feeling I will be getting stuck with those tires quite a bit. They'll be great on the highway towing, it'll help me out with fuel mileage and everything, but I do want to swap those out. This does have the power sliding and folding tow mirrors, so I'll show you what that looks like here real quick. So I'm still learning this. Which button is it? Oh, right here. So as I push that, those tow mirrors actually power extend out so you can see around your trailer a little better. As you can see, we have the Baja leather tan interior seats. I really like that over the black interior because a lot of the work that we are going to be doing is in the summertime. That'll help keep those seats a little cooler. Plus, this is that updated interior I was telling you guys about. This is just much nicer. Again, this is not important, but it is nice to have. It's just going to help future-proof it and keep it looking newer longer than, you know, my truck was starting to look a little dated. In terms of the seats getting hot in the summertime, one thing that I really wanted, which is kind of stupid, but it's going to be nice to have, ventilated seats. Really looking forward to having that this summer. It's like sitting on an ice cube. That's the inside. I went with the 6 3/4 bed just because those 8-foot beds, they are so long to get into a Home Depot parking lot and find a place to park. You got to park on the other side of the lot where there's no cars in order to get in and out. This has the rear camera on it, obviously, the power down tailgate. It has the 5th wheel gooseneck prep package, which means that it already has all of the holes in the bed. Now, the previous owner obviously added this. I'm not crazy about that. I'll probably take it out. I think it's going to get more in my way than anything. I could see why it would be nice for some people because it does allow you to basically have an 8-foot bed without having an 8-foot bed. But how the gooseneck prep package works is if it's factory from Ford, they come with this puck system. And so you basically dig these plastic covers out here. And of course my hands are cold, so I don't know how I'm going to get this out. There we go. So you take these plastic covers out, and then there is your gooseneck hitch or ball receiver. And then this is a Ford OEM ball. And so as you can see, you've got your balls there that will lock it in, but you pull on the top of the ball here, that releases those. So now it can drop down in. Well, you can tell the previous owner never used this. It's a snug fit right now. Pull that up, drop it down in, and then now when this drops back down, it spring locks that back in so it won't come out. And these shackles are very similar. These are what you hook your chains to. So you pull this out, drop this down in, and then turn it, and it locks in place. So to be able to have you know, your gooseneck prep package and everything here, you can put it in, take it out in a matter of a couple minutes. And when you don't want to use it, take it out and you have full access to your bed. I really liked the OEM Ford system for the gooseneck prep package. And then just keep this in your truck and you're always good to go. It does have a rear power sliding window, which I had in my F-150 with the XLT package. I really like that because when I'm pulling the dump trailer, my dump trailer does not have a wireless remote to run the pump on it. It has a long cord that is, I don't know, 10, 15 feet long, but what I use that back rear sliding window for is I will actually fish this up through that back window. I mean, obviously an easier option, so you didn't have to get the back window if you didn't want it, is you could wire a wireless receiver and remote onto your battery for the dump trailer. But since this one had it, I will continue to do it that way and feed that cord and remote up through the back window of the truck. That way, if you're doing a lot of dumps in one day, you can literally, like when we were hauling dirt up to the driveway for the house up there, I was doing 20, 30 loads a day. And so I'd load it up, drive it up there and dump it. And without having to get out of the truck, I could dump it, lower it back down, come back down here again. So that was just a nice thing and a good reason to have that rear power sliding window. One thing I still want to add to this truck, besides putting all-terrain tires on it, is I do need a tonneau cover for the back here as well. So there you go, guys. That is the new truck, a 2022 F250. And I wanted to give you guys a little helpful piece of advice for any of you out there trying to buy, sell, or trade vehicles right now, because I mentioned in the last video the car dealers were trying to beat me up pretty good on the trade-in value of my truck. In the last video, I mentioned that the KBB fair market value of my truck, my F-150, was about $17,000. Private party was $19,000, and retail on a dealer's lot was valued at about $22,000. So KBB is baking into the trade-in value and the retail price about $5,000 worth of profit for a dealer, which I understand. They have overhead, they've got salespeople, they've got a lot of stuff that they got to cover costs, and they need to make some money. And I'm okay with that. The problem is when the dealers start offering you well below the KBB trade-in value, which is what I was experiencing. They were offering us about $15,000, which was $2,000 less than I thought we should have gotten $17,000. So I said, to heck with that, and I decided to sell the truck myself. The problem with selling your vehicle yourself when you plan on replacing it with a new vehicle is you'll typically spend more on sales tax doing it that way. And let me give you a hypothetical. If I wanted to go to a dealer lot and just purchase this truck outright, right, with no trade-in at all, I'm going to pay sales tax on the full purchase price of this vehicle. But if you have a trade-in, you only pay sales tax on the purchase price minus the value of your trade-in. So hypothetically speaking, let's say this truck is $65,000 and the value of my trade was $15,000. If I just go buy the truck outright, I'm paying sales tax on the full $65,000, or if I trade my truck in, I'm paying sales tax on just the difference, which would be 65 minus 15, or $50,000. So what would that sales tax savings be? $800 or $900, something like that. So just keep that in mind. But there is a workaround to that, and it's what's called a dealer courtesy trade. And that's where you sell your truck yourself, you put it on Facebook Marketplace, you find a buyer, you get that additional value for your truck that you think it's worth. In my case, instead of trading it in for $15,000, I sold my truck for $19,000. So I'm making $4,000 more off of the deal. And under the circumstances of a courtesy trade, I found this truck, I found a buyer, we went to the dealer the same morning. Essentially, I traded my F-150 in on this truck, and now I'm only paying the sales tax on the difference between what I paid for this truck minus the $19,000 value of my trade, which saved me about $1,100 worth of taxes. Then simultaneously, the dealership then sells my truck to the buyer that I found for the price that we had already talked about. And so it's the best of both worlds. I got to sell my truck for $4,000 more than what the dealer was going to give me, and I still got that tax savings. And actually, I got a little bit more tax savings because I got a trade-in credit of $19,000 instead of $15,000. So really, a trade-in or a courtesy trade is the way to go if you can find a dealer who's willing to do it. And if the vehicle that you're looking at, the dealership is not offering a courtesy trade, find a different dealer, because there are dealers out there who will do it. And if they don't want to do it, then they don't want to sell that vehicle that bad. So just a little helpful tip for any of you guys buying, selling, trading vehicles right now. Sell your vehicle yourself, and on the new one you want to buy, do a courtesy trade. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, click that subscribe button, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Oh yeah, one more thing. Quick reminder about the National Farm Machinery Show in Louisville, Kentucky. We will be there February 12th and 13th. We're going to spend a little bit of time at the LS Tractor booth as well as just walking around. So if you're planning on going to the show and you see us out and about, stop by and say hi. You know, we typically go to the Paul Bunyan show over in Cambridge, Ohio every year. We've done that 3 or 4 years in a row. And we see a lot of the same people at that show because one, it's firewood related, it's in the same area every time. So I'm kind of looking forward to going to a different trade show in a different part of the country. You know, it might be a little bit closer to some other people that don't want to make the trip to the Paul Bunyan show. So if you're planning on going to the show and you see us out and about, stop by and say hi. I would love to get to meet some of you guys that are on the other side of the camera here.